What can we say about the insurance era of chiropractic that existed over the past 3 decades? I feel qualified to speak about it because I lived it from start to finish. For sure, it had some usefulness, especially in the early days, but that usefulness had ended a while ago, and it came at a terrible price that the chiropractic profession is hopefully paying the final installment on. A new era with a somewhat radical new practice paradigm has been emerging. I have been teaching it for many years. The final remnants of the old insurance model in its varying forms must be let go of. It has run its course, it has done its damage, and now, especially in light of Disruption 2017, you have no choice but to lay it to rest. The good news is, this means a much bigger, better, and more profitable practice for you, should you choose this path. I am not kidding when I say that to try to hold on to a practice dependent on third-party pay is like trying to hold on to a corpse that has been long dead and is now seriously decomposing. And I'm sorry to say that those who hold on will die with this corpse. The existing problem is a practice contradiction so deep that everyone can sense that something is screwy with the way we are operating in practice, but we continue to operate without giving voice to the contradictions that exist, hoping that someday they will magically resolve. And they will, but not in the way that most chiropractors had hoped. I'm asking you now to suspend your normal frame of reference, or if you will, your intellectual addiction to the way things are, and let's imagine and examine a new and better model of existence for chiropractors and for those we serve. Let me take you to the whiteboard and review the 7 steps that will take you to this new vision. I'm excited to tell you about the 7 steps of conversion from an insurance-dependent practice to a non-insurance-dependent practice. And quite frankly, even if you took no insurance in your practice right now, learning these steps will help you upgrade your practice in a significant way. The reality is, these are foundations to a successful practice, no matter what type of practice it is. But of course, in each of these steps, there are nuances that will help somebody who is in an insurance-dependent practice absolutely transition into a practice free from insurance. And that's why we call it free form. We want you to be free to form your future rather than have it decided for you by an insurance company. You know, the thing I always hated about insurance and third-party pay is that there are limitations and restrictions as to what they cover. So when somebody comes in and they come in because they have a certain insurance and you accept it, literally the relationship with that person starts with restrictions and limitations. I don't like that. That's not freedom. That's not freedom for me to form the future of my practice. That's not freedom for the patient to form the future of their own health. So this is why letting go of insurance reimbursement, letting go of third-party pay, and having a model which doesn't depend on that is so imperative for chiropractors and for the people they serve to have a great future. And notice I use the term that I coined called non-insurance dependence. If there happened to be an environment where it made sense to use some insurance coverage in a limited context, I'm not against that. It just has to work, it has to make sense, and you have to do it in a way that doesn't put you at risk and doesn't limit the care that the patient should get. So that's why I don't call it cash practice, I call it non-insurance dependence. There's a distinction and a difference. So that's what I want for you, freedom from insurance, non-insurance dependence. If insurance goes away, Disruption 2017 happens, and you're just fine, you're thriving, you're serving people, you're having fun, you have a future, you have a career, as compared to saying that forces outside of your control are always putting you at risk and you can't sleep at night because they could wipe you out. So let's get into the 7 steps. I'm going to do a brief overview. What you could be doing right now is maybe taking some notes and seeing what this means to me, and you should ask yourself the question, what does this mean to me? And I'm going to explain the areas of focus that you should have. They are sequential, let me say also. They aren't random, meaning, oh, do step 5 now, do step 1 now, do step 3 now. There's a sequence to this process that's very deliberate, very well thought out. Some people do like to focus in areas of particular weakness in a practice first. That's okay, but what I will tell you is that step 2 builds on step 1, and step 3 builds on step 1 and 2, etc. So let me just give you an overview of these, get your mind stimulated toward what this means. Again, ask yourself what this means to you so you can personalize it. You might be in practice for 1 year, you might be in practice for 35 years. I don't know. Bottom line is this applies to all practices. So let's jump in. The first step that we have here, step 1, is called the reality check. And our premise with step 1 is you must know reality before you can change it. Let me repeat that. You must know reality before you can change it. I am startled by how often I talk to chiropractors and they want some support or help to help improve their practice, and I'll start asking them some probing questions that they don't know the answers to. They don't even know reality. How can you shift the reality of your practice experience if you don't know what it is? And of course, it just makes sense. So in Freeform, when we do the reality check, it's 158 questions. So it's a questionnaire, 158 questions, and incidentally, I trimmed that down from over 200 to try to get it as tight as I could, but it walks through 6 very important areas of your practice and life that have to be assessed in order to know how to make the proper maneuvers to move towards a thriving practice free from insurance. So step 1 is to know reality. Step number 2, the headspace conversion. Our premise there is that it's head first, all else follows. So why do we say that? Because if your head is not right, the process is not going to complete. It's not going to go well. You're not going to be a good leader. You're going to get stuck. You're going to have moments of fear and paralysis, etc. In that headspace conversion, we talk about the 4 fears that prevent chiropractors from making the change and how to address those 4 fears. Also to solidify and clarify your philosophy. When it comes to that, I'm pretty much king of the mountain. I've worked on that intensively with chiropractors for decades, so my processes there are second to none. And so when you have that clarity, understand your philosophy, your point of view. I'm not telling you what your philosophy should be. You have to decide what that is by walking you through the process on how to get the clear purpose of your practice, the clear goal for every person that comes into that practice. Very, very critical that those things get clarified. Your philosophy is your brand. It is what's speaking to people. If it's confused, if it's contradictory, confused minds don't buy. They're not going to come to you. They're not going to say yes to care. They're not going to accept your care plans. So this is a very, very critical component, is getting your head right. There's several steps, several modules, several videos and assignments in just step 2 when we deal with the headspace conversion. Again, I'm outlining this so if somebody decided that Freeform's not right for you, I sincerely hope you can still use this outline to help yourself. If you're going to work with us deep within this, there's many, many steps, many video modules and assignments to help get this all orchestrated and organized for you. I can't overstate the importance of head first, all else follows. If we didn't work on the headspace before we got into the procedures, and we get deep into the procedures, if we didn't work on the headspace first, the procedures would be somewhat meaningless because you wouldn't have the right context and headspace to drive those procedures. So, step 1 is the reality check. Step 2 is headspace conversion. Step 3 is the team conversion. So what we say here, as you can see, is you and your team must be aligned. So once you get your head right, what has to happen? You have to get your team aligned. I will tell you, one of the biggest killers of practice momentum, practice transformation, practice change is staff. Staff is either the key to driving that process and making it happen and succeed, or they are the thing that is absolutely blocking the process. They're deleting every step you're trying to take. There are some people who are just addicted to the status quo. They don't want to see things change. I can't tell you how many chiropractors, just recently a chiropractor who was working on her practice, looking to grow it, had found out that she had a staff member who didn't want to grow. The staff member liked things the way they were. It took her 3 months to figure that out, but finally the staff member said, I'm really kind of comfortable where I am. I don't want things to grow. I don't want to be busier, etc. So she finally had to part ways with that person, and now the practice about a couple of months after that has doubled. So it's important that the team gets on board. This is not going to be business as usual. This is not the way we've always done it. There have to be team huddles, team meetings, team trainings, a rhythm for these things. We have the outlines, the structure, the agendas for these particular things. So there's a whole training on how to get your team aligned, motivated, moving forward with you, rhythms put in place into the procedural side of what you're doing. This is a hypercritical thing. I don't care if you only have one staff person. I don't care if you only have 2 part-time staff people, or maybe you have 4 or 5 or 20 staff people. It doesn't matter. The staff has to be on board, and there's a specific process for doing that we teach. So again, you have to be thinking in terms of, first, what's my reality today? Number 2, what's my headspace, or can I upgrade my headspace to start making moves to a better practice? Then number 3, what do I need to do to get my staff converted so we're all on the same page together? That's the 3rd step. Step 4 is the economic conversion. Our premise there is you must be in control of your financial destiny. Do I need to say anything more? This is all about being in control of your financial destiny. And making that financial conversion now means, what are the economics of your practice and business transactions? What do you charge? What kind of services do you offer? What kind of care plans do you organize? Are you going to do care plans? If you do, will it be a certain amount of visits? Will it be a 3-month, 6-month, 12-month care plan? What will the offers be? What are the economics tied to that offer? What are the payment options that a patient might have, etc.? You have to get control of the economics of the practice. Be in control of your financial destiny. So however you're doing it now, it might be good. It might even be great. I think there's always room for upgrades in this area. But what I can tell you, to have a practice that is free from third-party pay, it is hypercritical that you organize your business offerings and the economics of how you transact business with the people who come to see you in a clear, simplified, powerful way that people can wrap their heads around, wrap their arms around, and initiate in. So this is an important part. But I wouldn't even bother trying to do this unless you knew what reality was in the first place, and that's a part of the reality you have to discover. What are you doing now? How your headspace is to start making change, because people don't like to make changes, getting your staff rallied around it. Now you start to make that economic conversion, and you're really starting to see the pieces of the puzzle start to organize and come together. Once we complete step 4, then we get into the procedural conversion. Our premise there is that procedures must be aligned with intent and purpose. Again, procedures must be aligned with intent and purpose. One of the biggest defeaters of growth in a practice is that the procedures are in contradiction to the purpose of the practice. The procedures are in contradiction to what the stated intention is of the chiropractor and the staff with the patient, with the community, etc. These things have to line up. So if you're going to have a practice that is free from insurance, that is non-insurance dependent, guess what? You are going to have procedures that align with that properly. If the procedures do not align with that, it's not going to work. So this is especially important where? Day 1, day 2. For everything from how are you answering the phone? How are you greeting new patients when they come in? How are you doing your consultations, your exams, your doctor's reports, the follow-up, the interactions, the table talk? All of these things matter, but especially important is everything from that first point of contact, which might be your website incidentally, the maybe first or second point of contact, which is the phone call to make the appointment, and that's hypercritical. Still, the majority of appointments are made through a telephone call. How they answer the phone and what they say, very critical, because people are going to call them and say, hi, do you take my insurance? Hi, I have such and such insurance. Will you accept that? You have to know how to deal with these things. And then once they actually come in, how are you greeting them? How can it feel different than a insurance doctor that they normally go to, a doctor that just takes their insurance? How will that consultation start to position things? How will the exam start to light them up in a way that has them understand something different and important is going on here? How will that doctor's report cover the absolute critical pieces of the communication that lead them to a point of saying yes to a care plan? This is not light lifting. This is heavy lifting, important stuff that requires real training. There's a lot of modules we have on this. So either way, again, if you're on your own with it, make sure that you look closely and deeply at every part of your process now and tweak it, upgrade it, transform it where you need to. Coming into the Freeform program, we're walking you through a very deep step here with multiple modules that I will explain in a moment on how this works. Now let's talk about step 6, patient education conversion. Insurance freedom requires you to educate and inspire your patients. What do we mean by this? Once you bring somebody in, once you've converted them in the day 1, day 2 process to accept care, if you want to have a practice that is free from insurance, you must educate like crazy. You have to have very specific processes in place that are repeatable, that you're not making up day by day, that keep the person engaged or the family engaged in the process of coming in and completely continuing to reinforce. Think about once they go out your doors, you know the kind of stuff that they're getting bombarded with. They're getting their health philosophy from drug commercials on TV, for crying out loud. They're hearing from friends, why are you going to chiropractor? Why are you bringing your kids, etc. So it's important that there's an ongoing drumbeat of patient education, or I even like to refer to more as patient inspiration, that keeps them engaged, enthusiastic, and motivated in the process to follow through with their care and their care plan. So I think it's a natural step that you would understand that this is important. So if you start looking at how the sequence builds here, in step 1, you got to know reality. Step 2, you got to get your headspace organized around it. Step 3, you have to convert the staff conversion, get them aligned with this. Step 4, the economic conversion, getting all the economics of the practice and your care plans, etc., lined up for what it is that you're looking to do. Step 5 is the procedural conversion, that day 1, day 2, how you're answering your phones, all those points of contact. Very, very critical for having a non-insurance dependent practice. Step 6, patient education. Naturally that plugs in and we go deep there. And I think you need to be looking at your educational processes. Too many chiropractors have kind of gotten a little bit, I'd say, apathetic on this. They started something some years ago. They're doing the same thing they've been doing for years. They haven't really upgraded. They haven't thought about it enough. There's no process and procedure in place. Sometimes they're on it. Sometimes they're off it. Not in a non-insurance dependent practice. You want to be free from insurance and third-party pay. This is critical. You have to take it seriously. Which leads us to step 7. Step 7 is the marketing conversion. Freedom from insurance is all about bringing in the right ones. What do I mean by that? Freedom from insurance is all about bringing in the right people. You get what you ask for. If you are bringing in people who are not aligned with the purpose of your practice or your core values of your practice, they're not going to work out right. So the first thing you have to understand is that you don't need new patients. New patients need you. And you have to speak to them and market in a way that attracts the right people to your audience or to your office, not the wrong people, not people that don't belong there or aren't aligned and will never be aligned and aren't open to being interested in what you do. You can't go around begging for new patients all the time and I'll take whatever I can get to make whatever money I can make. It's about getting clarity of purpose, having your headspace right, knowing all your procedures and your staff are lined up behind that. And now you go out and you market with internal marketing processes and external marketing processes that attract volumes of the right people to your office for the right reasons, which increases your conversion rates, increases the probability of them accepting care, increases your case average as far as how much money you're collecting per case because they're staying longer and they're aligned and they're bringing their family and they're referring people, etc. So I think you can see that it makes sense to go out and market for the right people. Why? Some people say, well, I need the marketing first. I need more new patients. No, not until you know what reality is. You've got your headspace right, your staff is aligned, you've got your economics organized, you've got the day 1, day 2 procedure wired, your educational processes are in place. Now it is time to start bringing people in. Now you have the systems and the machine basically built so that you can bring people in and not squander those opportunities. A lot of people just jump at the new patient side of what we teach, and it's very effective, no two ways about it. But I don't want to put them into a system that's not ready for them yet. Do the work. Take the time to go through this process. Different people are going to need different amounts of time. So ultimately, these 7 steps from start to finish, you can see the logic in the sequence, which starts with just knowing reality and ends with marketing and upgrading your marketing to bring many more people in. And by doing this, you end up in a practice that is built for growth without insurance. Now, let me explain how the Freeform program itself works. And again, I'm going to reiterate, these 7 steps that I covered over here, you can take those steps and organize them yourself and start walking yourself through them. It's a do-it-yourself type of a thing. I believe your probability of success in upgrading your practice is going to be much better if you let us do it with you in the Freeform process. The Freeform process works like this. We have an online custom-built training process where literally the environment we program from the ground up. In each of these areas, for example, with the reality check, you go online into the Freeform environment. It's a membership environment, and you go in there and you do the 158 question reality check. You print your report from that environment. It tells you where the strengths and weaknesses are that you have to deal with right now. And that report is so sobering and such a great guidepost to how to make your moves going forward to maximize the probability of your success that we've had hundreds of people through the Freeform process, and I have been very, very heartened by the results they get and how impactful just that step 1 report is. Once you go to step 2 and all the rest of the steps, what you're going to find is in each step there are multiple video modules. And there's modules for multiple people. I am presenting some of the modules. Dr. Troy Dukowitz is presenting a bunch of the modules, and others are presenting many of the modules. And Dr. Scott Gamm, who I'll be introducing shortly, is going to be presenting modules. So you're going to be getting input from people in different areas of their own expertise. And as I said, probably predominantly from myself and Dr. Troy Dukowitz, but others who are also there who are going to be presenting information in modular format. And at the end of each module, there is a diary there for you to be recording notes, what things you have to do, etc. And that is something that you'll be tracking, and it lives online in our environment. So if you see in step 2, step 3, step 4, there'll be step 2 module 1, step 2 module 2, step 2 module 2A and B, etc. So we're literally teasing things down to details, giving you short but powerful modules on each of these areas. You can go back and revisit them as much as you want. So you can see that we have what we call this guided process through the entire 7 steps. And there's also, and this is something not to be underestimated, there are dozens of practice tools that go with the modules. So what do I mean by that? So if we're teaching you in step 3, for example, the team conversion, we're teaching you about team meetings, and we talk about, for example, having an off-site meeting with your team, and we talk about the agenda. Well, we have a document with that whole agenda laid out. You print that document. You can put your letterhead on, whatever, but you print that document. You have the agenda. You can modify it and customize it to yourself, etc. But it's not just us saying things in the video module. It's the modules. It is the collateral material and tools to support you in those modules. And in addition, there's the diary there that's going to help you document the most important things for you as you're going through this learning process. So you can see it's a very comprehensive thing that we've tweaked up over a period of a few years now with hundreds and hundreds of chiropractors who have come through it. Now, for the first time, in addition to the Freeform program and the 7-step process, we are offering 3 bonuses, and these are powerful bonuses. Let me go over them with you. First, we have open office hours. Open office hours is something that I innovated in my philosophy formula program, and it turned out to be a secret weapon. I'd never done it before, but I always felt like with online video training, as much as I loved it and as much as I utilized it for myself and also utilize it to help people who are my clients, I realized that there is a dynamic process of interaction that has to go along with that. So it's this hybrid model of not just saying, well, here's the videos, and if you happen to have a question, email us, but to say that we can have live interaction so that we can not only try to say, here's what we think you need to learn, but you can come back and you can ask us, the experts, what you need. And heading those open office hours will be a free-form instructor, mostly probably Dr. Scott Gamhall, introduced to you in a moment. I will also be attending some of them. But it's your opportunity to be able to interact and ask your questions. You might be in step 3 and you might say, geez, I'm in step 3 right now, and I was working on this particular thing in my staff conversion. My staff member had this kind of a response, or they said this type of a thing, or they seem like they're not properly matched. What can you tell me? What advice do you have? Here's what I learned. The wisdom of the group is a powerful thing. Meaning when one person's asking the question, there could be 20 or 30 other people who didn't even think of the question but are really interested in that answer. So I have done now well over 200 of these open office hours, and I can tell you they are powerful. They more than double the impact of the program itself. So I'm excited that we're going to be offering it with Freeform. For the first 3 months of Freeform, with the launch of this class, we're going to have open office hours every week. And then after the 3 months, we're going to go to 1 week out of the month, because after that first intensive push, I don't think you'll need as much attention after that. So, and one other thing, they're all recorded and you'll have access to them, which means even if you couldn't get to the open office hours, you could submit your question ahead of time. And whoever's running the open office hours will read your question, will give the answers, it will be recorded. You can watch them all on the recording. So there's going to be dozens of hours of additional coaching, mentoring, and content from the open office hours. And that's a big one. So if I were charging separately for that, I'd be charging $2,200 for the 6 months of open office hours. And quite frankly, it's not really a big number. I could have said, oh, this is worth $10,000. These are real numbers. If I were organizing a program of 6 months of open office hours in the way I just described, I'd be charging chiropractors $2,200 for that. Not a lot of money, but a lot of value. This is going to be a free bonus in Freeform. Number 2, healthphilosophy.com. A little over a year ago, I launched a website called healthphilosophy.com. What's this for? This is for your patients. Chiropractors pay $200 per month for an unlimited license to be able to send their patients or prospective patients to healthphilosophy.com, and it's me on video personally walking them through a 5-module process. And the pace they can determine, but there's 5 individual modules where I help them build their own health philosophy. Where are people getting their health philosophy now? They're getting it from drug ads. They're getting it from places that are teaching them the wrong stuff and confusing them. They need an organized way to have a logical process that is also engaging and stimulating. And I think if you know me, you can trust the fact that I know how to do this really well. The people who've been in it love it. We've got hundreds of chiropractors who are utilizing healthphilosophy.com right now. Like I said, it's for a year, it's $2,400. It's $200 per month, or $2,400 for a year. When you join Freeform, I want to add this as a bonus for you at no additional cost. If you're somebody who already has healthphilosophy.com, no problem. We'll add another free year to your current subscription. So you'll get a free year whether if you're in it or if you haven't done it before. This is something new to put into your practice that I think will be very, very powerful for you. Number 3, we're going to have a Freeform Live Summit. And that summit is something where we're going to have a 2-hour virtual summit. You don't have to get on airplanes. You don't have to get hotel rooms. But it's going to be a parade of very successful practitioners who are independent of insurance, who experience and express non-insurance dependence or freedom from insurance. It'll be myself. There'll be some other people that you know there that are marquee names. But I'm also going to have people on the Freeform Summit who are the rank and file chiropractors out there in the world, not out on platforms, not speaking, not coaching, not teaching, but literally are just doing it every day. And we're going to have a 2-hour festive, high impact, high energy experience online. And if for some reason you couldn't make it live, it will be recorded, and anybody in the Freeform program will have access to that recording. I'll be charging $195 for the Freeform Live Summit. Again, with the Freeform package right now, with this class that is launching, we're going to include that. So in essence, and it seems like, oh, look at the marketing, it's like I'm selling you this stuff here, and you get this, and you get that. I just want you to understand the package I put together here. You don't need, there's no reason to, try to feel resistant to it. It's okay if this is not right for you. I'm fine with that. I right now just have a sincere passion and a clear purpose to help this profession get off of insurance dependency because of Disruption 2017. It is right around the corner. I have seen chiropractors, when there's disruptions like this, get into real trouble, and several of them end up having to leave practice. I don't want that to be you, and I'm just offering you a resource here to really upgrade your practice and your future through what we're doing. And if it's not right for you, I'm hoping that you're taking away a ton of value and it still helps you somehow. So ultimately, with the Freeform program, you'll be able to see what the pricing is when you go to the full description on the page that overviews it, etc. But let me just put it this way. For less than the price of 1 to 2 new patients, where the new patient value is on average, you're going to get these almost $5,000 in free bonuses. And in addition to that, you're going to get the full program. I think you got to at least take a look at it, read the details, etc., and then decide if this is the right thing for you. If it is, I would love for you to come in and join us. Now, I'd like to introduce you to our Freeform senior coach, Dr. Scott Gam. I have known Scott for many years and have witnessed him going through many transformations in his practice. Today, he has a very successful, busy, and fun practice that operates completely independent of third-party pay. And Scott has a deep passion for teaching other chiropractors how to do that too. So here's Scott's message to you. Greetings, everybody. As promised, I want to introduce you to Dr. Scott Gam. Scott, thanks for being here, and tell us about your day in the office today.
It was just so much fun. We saw over 100 people. We're 100% cash. We just really thrive in the principles, and I've been able to develop literally the practice my dreams by following the principles of Freeform and what we're enrolling everyone else into learning too.
That's awesome. So this, you've been through many different journeys in practice. I've known you for a lot of years, and I've seen the different styles of practice that you've had. Can you talk about your varying practices and your experiences along the way?
Yeah, I've manipulated the hell out of insurance companies. I've had pretty much a straight PI practice for periods of time. I've had a full spine practice. I've had multiple practices. I've had associate doctors. I've had startup businesses that flopped. I've really run the gamut, and through the years, I've really also been coached by you in the concepts of Freeform and understanding the value base of what we do with chiropractic and the service that we provide, and how to just continually increase value. And I've gone from a cash practice that was about $15 or $20 an adjustment to the current one that is hundreds of people a week, and we're over $60 an adjustment. So I've really run the gamut. I've ripped totally the Band-Aid off a clinic and took it from like total insurance down to no insurance, and saw 50% drop in practice within 1 month. And I've started one from scratch and built it from literally into 100% cash practice from day one. So I've really, really seen a lot of sides of this, and I think I can help people in a lot of ways see how to congruently grow into what they want also.
Yeah, so it's sometimes when you're in the context of a practice that's steeped with working with insurance companies, and insurance reimbursement, it's sometimes hard to see how you might have a practice that will see over 100 visits a day, all cash, $60 a visit, I think is what you said your average is. So, what I want people to understand that are out there right now who think that this is not something that's possible for them, I think they need to know that it can be done, and that you have done it. Now, you said one other thing, though, that I want to just maybe caution people about. You said you did one practice where you ripped the Band-Aid off, and basically you said that the practice volume dropped like 50%, and that's why with what we're talking about here, Freeform, and having a methodical 7-step process, that you make a transition or conversion to a non-insurance dependent practice as compared to ripping the Band-Aid off, as you put it. Because I've seen it. People say, "I'm mad as hell. I'm not going to take it anymore. That's it. Tomorrow we're cash." And sometimes you have to do that, but it's not necessarily recommended, is it?
No, it was a really terrible idea, actually, and I didn't communicate it properly, and I didn't build value around it. And just like a new patient walking in, if you want them to have a phenomenal new patient experience, there's a system for every single step along the way. And if you do that, you have a predictable outcome that they're almost always going to say yes to care. And 100% care plans, we're 100% cash, and 100% of our practice members are on care plans. We don't have any pay-as-you-go. I mean, it's really remarkable, but that takes systems, and that wasn't day one, but it is absolutely doable, 100%.
So and first of all, I'm thrilled that you're working with us in Freeform, that you're going to really, you're in the trenches, you're sharing your own experience day by day, and that you're also going to be working to help coach everybody in the program to help them with whatever their particular needs are. Tell me about your decision to want to do that and what drove that.
A lot of pain. Wasn't a great communicator out of school. I mean, I wasn't a great student. I mean, I'm really one of those just people who just stuck with it and really got around the right people, yourself mostly, who just, kind of kept encouraging me to dig a little deeper and go a little further and go a little further. And I know it can be done. I mean, I'm around so many people that, and chiropractic is really a lot of times based on these huge gregarious personalities, these people that you look at their practice, you're like, oh, I couldn't do that. And I'm just not that person. It's like, if you walk in and you watch me practice for your day, and I have lots of doctors who watch me and they go, oh, that wasn't so hard. I can do that. And I know it can be done. I know I'm a great teacher and enroller and engager into really helping people, because I'm not that superstar. I'm not the person who gets up on the stage and there's thousands of people and they're all crying at the end. I'm just guy in the trenches who really can systematically engage a patient or another chiropractor into getting what they want out of life.
I think you don't give yourself enough credit, but I have watched you in interactions with other chiropractors explaining what you do. And I think a part of the virtue is you have figured out how to make it real simple, communicate it in a way that other people can grasp it and put it to work in their practice. So I'm really excited to be working with you in Freeform and to have you working with all the folks out there who are going to be in the program and taking the journey with us. And if you have any last words before we end this particular conversation, the floor is yours.
I just really, really am encouraged by everyone who's going to be watching this that, if you're there, you're ready. If you're on this call, if you're listening to this, if you're watching this, then you're ready. I mean, it's the time, and there's never been a more important time, because the rug can be ripped out of underneath you. I mean, when the check gets sent to the patient from the insurance company, when patients quit because you quoted them one thing and the other, that is the worst freaking feeling in the world. And I never have to experience that again. And that feeling of peace and joy, and at the end of the day, you provided a massive service and great value, and people just paid you. It allows you to sleep every night so easily, so comfortably. And I know that we can share how to do that, Patrick.
Well, I'm looking forward to doing that. And I think what you said is very important. I've been talking about Disruption 2017 coming, and it's coming soon. And I can tell you, I don't know what's going to happen, but it's not going to be pleasant. Nobody can predict what's going to happen, but it's going to be disruptive. And right now, basically, you're sitting there saying, it doesn't matter to me. Whatever Congress decides, whatever they do to Obamacare, whatever they defund, unfund, do to deductibles, change around plans, insurance companies pulling out of the states, all the craziness that's happened, you don't care about, none of that impacts you. You sleep at night, you go to work next day, you see your 100+ patients that day, you get paid all cash, no issue whatsoever. And I know we're making it sound kind of simple. It's not that it's easy in the sense that, you can snap your fingers and make it happen, but you can, and I think you must make it happen, which is the whole point. And I love the fact that you're a living example of this and that you have an ambition to teach others how to do it.
Yeah, and it's not easy. I mean, it's going to take a lot of work, but it is simple. And when I explain to people what we do, what chiropractic is, the principles, why it works, people go, oh, that makes sense. And that's what I'm going to engage people in, is really the simplicity on the far side of complexity, so that they can engage people, enroll them, create a higher vision of themselves, and then just serve, adjust, see the miracles, do what we're supposed to be freaking doing as a profession. And that is allowed within a cash-based system.
Well, I appreciate very much you spending some time with us here. And I've got a few more words for you, so stay tuned, and we're going to go right back in front of the whiteboard. Chiropractic is my profession, and my love for it and commitment to it has only deepened over the years. So I have to say to you here, at this moment, with passion and urgency, with Disruption 2017 on the horizon, you need to engage in the Freeform 7-step process now, while there is still time to get your practice in the right position. And when you add to the Freeform course the almost $5,000 in bonuses we're offering, your entire future can be transformed for less than the average value of 1 to 2 new patients. And did I forget to mention that I guarantee your enthusiastic satisfaction, or you get all your money back? This is a true no-brainer. So, review the information below, fill out the registration form, and join us on what might be the most important journey and experience of your entire career.